You're listening to Brave Girls with Tracy M., where we choose to empower you to be a better leader, mentor, and coach in the world. We'll share stories of people who have achieved great heights by overcoming adversity and rising to the challenge, all while pursuing their passions. These courageous people will inspire you to have faith in yourself and take bold action. Right here with the host of Brave Girls, Tracy M.
Episode 65, Always Create with Jennifer McGinley. Today's guest is public relations expert Jennifer McGinley from JLM Strategic Communications, LLC. Her Brave Girl story includes work in development and fundraising, as well as marketing and communications. She started her own practice when she realized that a 9-to-5 role just wasn't flexible enough for her, while allowing her to continue to use her skills on her own terms. A mom to 2 teenagers, she believes she's role modeling for her children what's possible for them. A total extrovert, Jennifer explains how she gains her energy by being around people and believes in respecting everyone, regardless of title or position in the workplace. Heavily influenced by her dad's philosophy of relationship building and delivering superb customer service, Jennifer brings those skills to her own business today when she's pitching the media for her small business clients and nonprofits. During our conversation, Jennifer shares why she's always has to be creating, why self is important to her well-being, and how she works to balance her home and work responsibilities. She also explains why she's so grateful for her prior work experiences and blessings, and how self-reflection informs her decisions today. We talk about the importance of sharpening your listening skills with your children, your friends, and your clients, and why you need to listen more and talk less. I'm sure that you will love Jennifer's best advice on public relations, entrepreneurship, and the importance of relationship building. I've gotten to know Jennifer over this past year, and I absolutely love her energy, her enthusiasm, and her professionalism as a communicator in my local community. So let's go and meet Jennifer McGinley and listen in on why you always need to be creating.
So welcome to Brave Girls with Tracy M. Today I have Jennifer McGinley on the line with us on the show, and she's the CEO of her own strategic communications company outside the Baltimore area called JLM Strategic Communications. And she's been in business for several years, and she specializes in media relations, community outreach, and reputation management, among other things. So welcome to the show, Jennifer.
Thank you so much, Tracy. I'm absolutely thrilled and honored to be here. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so when I looked at your backstory, you've got a lot of background in communications, in the healthcare industry. You were up in the Philly area, and then you moved down to Baltimore to work at University of Maryland School of Medicine and School of Pharmacy. So tell us a little bit about your backstory. Are you originally from Philly?
No, actually, I lived a couple of places. People would say, was I an Army brat? But my dad was actually in fundraising for Catholic colleges up and down the East Coast as well as Texas. So born in upstate New York, and then I lived in Northern Virginia for a while, finished up my high school years in Texas, and then moved to the Philadelphia suburbs to go to college. I went to Rosemont College, all women's Catholic college, actually right near Villanova. So that's kind of my life in a nutshell. And then when I graduated, I was very fortunate to have worked with an anchor woman at KYW in Philadelphia. And she helped kind of network for me and with me to land my first job at Montgomery Hospital in Norristown, Pennsylvania. And so I was assistant public relations person, my first job.
Great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Awesome.
So you went to school for communications and found something.
Right. I did English, Lit, and French. My dad was very, really pointed me out of going to get a communications degree. He just had always thought, I think because he'd been in higher ed for so long, he really wanted me to have a very good liberal arts degree. And had always said, then do your internships and volunteer work and any summer jobs in the fields that are related to what you want to do when you get out of college. And you know what, for me, it was the perfect thing to do. I had, worked in fundraising offices, did different internships at a production company, KYW, like I said, even worked at Wolf Trap in Northern Virginia in a development office, worked at a hospital at Georgetown University. So really started working when I was 14 with my dad to really shadow him and see how he handled himself in a professional setting versus being my dad and my soccer coach.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's funny when you see your dad at work and then you, he's your dad though.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And he was very, very much the same, very warm, shook hands. I learned all of my kind of business savvy from him, just respecting everybody, literally from the guy washing the floors to the dean or president of a university. And that always stuck with me. And how to answer the phone with a smile. You know, it was McClure residence Jennifer speaking at the time. So it was just those, and always going to really the receptions and alumni receptions with all of his jobs. And it was great because it was always basketball games. So I'm a huge fan of NCAA basketball, which March Madness is on right now.
Yeah.
You know, it was a great way to grow up. Absolutely.
Definitely. So what really made you decide to kind of go out on your own?
I had been so lucky to have amazing jobs. I currently have two teenagers, 14 and 16 and a half. And I struggled was very, very fortunate to stay home alone with them a lot. But I always kept my hand in the pot, as I say, to keeping up my skills with PR or fundraising or events or any volunteer jobs I would pick up at their schools would be writing or PR or doing special events because I love to work. I need that intellectual stimulation and I need to be out with people. I can be introverted in some ways, but I'm definitely an extrovert. I love and I gain my energy from others. So I was so lucky, like you said, starting at the University of Maryland School of Medicine when I came here. Then I ended up with two children and went back part-time consulting and was fortunate to land an amazing opportunity at the School of Pharmacy, which was full-time with travel. And it was too much. It was too much for me. My husband is amazing. He works evenings, nights, and weekends, but it was just, for us, it just didn't work. And it wasn't flexible enough in that I couldn't work from home when I wanted to or needed to sometimes. So I tried another job that was 4 days a week, and that was really good in terms of some flexibility. But I went out on my own because I wanted to do what I love, which is public relations, in an environment that is inspiring. I can really help others and kind of take my over 20 years of experience and kind of lump it into creating, like I said, that positive, inspirational environment without any of the politics of work, without the stuff that we all talk about, kind of playing the game, so to speak, at a regular job or regular office. And for me, setting up my own schedule and saying yes to the projects that really speak to me and make me feel good at the end of the day that I'm truly helping others.
Yeah, I think there's definitely something to that. And I think it's having the courage to know that something's not working for you, even though we're kind of told this is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to do it all. You're supposed to have it and have the full-time job and be able to travel and like, what's wrong with you? And so I give you a lot of credit for saying like, this isn't working. And it might work at some point in the future, but like, this is not working.
Yeah. And I knew too, when I do my best work, when I'm rested, when I'm inspired, when I'm feeling creative, and I just needed that. I needed that outside of the box thinking. If I go for a run or if I take a spin class, I get my best ideas for clients in terms of who should I pitch to the media or how can I write that in a really neat, kind of catchy way for somebody else to be really impressed with it. So it took me a while to make that decision. It was very difficult, but I did have support from some dear friends that were like, you're not getting any younger. You're so good at what you do. And it was hard for me to I guess, taken those accolades and kind of put them over in a box and then decide what's best for my family and line up clients ahead. Of course, it all crashed and burned 2 weeks prior. I gave 6 weeks notice at my job, wanted everything absolutely perfect and lined up before I left because they were so good to me. But it was just, I think being an entrepreneur is literally the most difficult thing I've ever done. I always say the highs are euphoric and the lows can crush you. And it's in between those two that there's that sweet spot. And you have to remind yourself every day, go back to that core reason why you did it and think about your life and where it's going to be, not necessarily where it is now, because it can be challenging, but I'm happy. I see my daughter get off the bus every day. I can drive them to their activities. I might get up really early, or this past weekend I was working Sunday morning, Saturday afternoon, getting some workout and pitches and things. But, I'm kind of a little bit bordering on a workaholic anyway. I was joking with my daughter. And, I'm still checking my phone. And my other jobs, I'm always checking if board members on the alumni board needed me at night because they have full-time jobs. I've always been that kind of a person. I think that's how my brain just goes. I'm always thinking and I'm always creating. So perhaps that's my personality as well.
Yeah, and I think public relations attracts that type of personality.
Yeah.
I really do. Somebody who's, kind of can keep like all the plates spinning, but it does lead to burnout if you're not careful and you don't do your best work when you are burnt out, and you do need to refuel and recharge and take care of yourself. So what are some of the other things that you do to kind of help take care of yourself?
Definitely working out. That's one of my my gym is my happy place. Running outside makes me really happy. I love to cook. I love to cook for my family, with my family. My kids can both completely cook for themselves. I always say they can nourish themselves. They love to bake and cook. And being with my friends and really compartmentalizing my life, that I need time with my friends, time alone with my husband, time with my children, and time with my own parents as well. It's balancing as a woman, as an entrepreneur, and as a working woman as well. I'm constantly juggling every minute of the day, and it's not always easy. And there's the quote that you can't have it all, but you can have it all, but not at the same time. There's definitely,
I think you're right.
Ebb and flow. Yeah, and you got to let go. And I think, I just turned 50 this past June, so that was really, really an interesting moment for me to realize where I've been and what I want for my future and how I'm going to roll. So I'm grateful for where I am and for the experiences I've had on personal and professional levels.
Yeah, and you've had a lot of really good ones. I love to, in your bio, you say listening is Jennifer's superpower. So talk a little bit about that. That's awesome. We all have superpowers, but I'm glad you know what yours is.
Yeah, and I was always a big talker, and with my close friends, I'll gab away for hours, but it's in the last maybe 5 to 8 years, or maybe 10. And I think having children too, and reading books about parenting and how, there's nothing better than you can give your child, but the gift of listening. And it's in those conversations when they're in the back seat that another mom told me that really resonated with me. And I still have problems with my family. I talk too much, or I give them orders, or, discipline or whatever. But, if I keep my mouth shut and just listen and absorb, whether it's the aura or the vibe of people around me, I learn so much more. And when I'm quiet and listening to a client and I just let them tell me their story, then I write their bio or get deep in their work. That's when I can help them shine. And I've really learned at a conference last year that listening to everybody, I decided that is my new superpower. That is just listening to your environment, listening wherever you are, and absorbing. Just constantly absorbing. And then I was also told by a guru, it's a teacher, I have her book somewhere too, that I'm an empath. So I never knew that, but I tend to absorb people's energies when I walk into a room as well.
So I know that you said that your dad had worked in higher ed and he was really influential in your life. So talk a little bit about that and some of the things that he taught you. I know one of the things was to respect everyone.
Absolutely. From literally the janitor up to the dean or the president of the university. And I think I learned by watching him. And he was just a very giving person. He was always there for people. And if there was an event at one of his jobs and he wasn't there, everybody said, where is Sam McClure? Where is Sam McClure? So when he retired, it was a big hole in that university, just because he involved his family in whatever job he was in. So he was all in 110%, 120%. And he loved it. He was passionate about raising money for nonprofits.
Yeah. Well, and I get the impression that you also are passionate about your work and making sure your kids, your girls, understand kind of what it's like to be an entrepreneur and to be a professional.
Yes, I do. It's something that, because I learned it from my father and my mother too, and she just retired and she's in her late 70s. So, and my grandmother was the same way. My mom's mom, it was always about working ethics, values, doing your best. And I really want to drill that into my children and make it something they're comfortable with and, more importantly, proud of. That nothing's easy in this life. You have to work hard, but you'll see the fruition of your work. And so I think that will fuel the passion, and you'll kind of go down those different paths and find out what interests you. So I think giving my kids a variety of opportunities, environments, and situations, they'll learn more about themselves and kind of what piques their interest, so to speak. Yes.
Yeah, and I think we all go through kind of seasons of life, and it's kind of interesting too. The things that we liked as kids, if we can bring it forward into our work life, we like it even more, right?
Yes. Yeah, I agree. I know growing up, I definitely wanted to be an anchor person on TV when I was in college. But younger than that, because of my love of French and everything France, I wanted to be, an ambassador to, the U.S. ambassador to France, and then go into psychology and social work. And so in a twisted, weird way, it kind of all blends together, because public relations is about building relationships. For me, it is helping small business and nonprofits and doing for the greater good. And so that the organizations that I truly want to support are going out into their communities and making, their space a better place in this world as well.
Yeah, and I'm sure you get a lot of joy out of that when you are brought in and you're able to kind of give them the support that they need. They may be good at, their mission or their cause, and you're able to take their messaging and get it out there in a bigger way so that more people can be touched by their services, their programs, their activities, whatever it is that cause or that nonprofit is doing, or even a small business,
Absolutely. And my favorite, I think, the biggest change that I felt when I was employed by someone was Friends Hospital in Northeast Philadelphia. They were founded in 1813. It's a behavioral health center, and it's run, the basis or foundation is Quaker. And when I first got there, they did have someone doing a little bit of PR, but in that first year, it went up 500% because they didn't get the exposure that they deserved. TV and public radio and just all the amazing media outlets in Philly didn't know so much about them in the way that I tried to craft it, that it wasn't just a psychiatric hospital. It was really behavioral health and dignity and respect for all. And it was one of the most enriching and most amazing places I've ever worked. The leadership, the CEO, the CFO were really, and my boss, I still absolutely love to pieces, really the most brilliant people I've worked with. And I just kept wanting to work harder and harder every day to make an impact. And it was amazing. It was such a really special opportunity. I feel grateful to have been chosen to work there. And now that I'm on my own, I am, wheedling my way through, and people are coming to me that that is just a nice blend of, in fact, one is an MS patient. She wants to get speaking gigs to spread her message that, multiple sclerosis, you don't give up. And so I did get her just 2 weeks ago a full page, article on just her in her paper in New Jersey. And so she wants to, feed off of that and help others, empower others, go into the leadership space and write a book too. So I think taking those people, like I said, that want to do something to help others or enrich somebody else's life or motivate others, that's right up my alley. That is something that is so easy for me because I have to believe in somebody 110%, so that when I am pitching to the media or trying to help them tell their story, I truly value that person, their ethics, their credibility level, and that they are of value to others.
Yeah, and I liked what you said about dignity for all, and sort of in the mental health space, there's such a stigma around that. And so the more educated people can become around the services that are available and the help that's out there, especially with what we're going through right now in the U.S. with the opioid addiction problem.
Yes,
and
yes.
It doesn't discriminate in terms of who can develop that.
Exactly.
And the impact that it's having on our country right now. So good for you for connecting, with that mission and then getting that out there. Like you said, it was their message needed to be heard in that Philadelphia market, about what they had to offer. So
Exactly. And I truly believe that with any health concern or mental health issue, it's all about education and that community outreach, and that kind of increasing awareness that all public relations experts are really, that's our mission, or we're a conduit to take a message and get it out to the community that needs to hear it most. And, along with fitness and artists and theater and STEM and STEAM and all those amazing types of businesses, they all have messages. And I know that you love to hear people's stories and you kind of extrapolate or extract certain information to go on. That's exactly what a communications expert needs to do too. I need to hear the story and then communicate that to the audience that really will be best served by it. Yes, and mental health and drug addiction is huge. And I think it's education for really any field we're all in, is educating the public about the importance of it. Absolutely.
Yeah. So what's one of the things that you really like about being your own boss right now?
Oh, well, I can really choose with whom I work with. Mm-hmm. I can work it around my family as a working mom. It is a balancing act and nothing's perfect. And I used to be a perfectionist, but it's too exhausting. I think, some days I feel like I've got it all together and I'm rocking it out. And other days I feel like I'm, completely failing on all ends, but I just try to take a deep breath. And I love being organized. I love having deadlines. I like priorities so that during my work day when the kids aren't around, I can get that stuff done. But getting back to your question, working from home or being on my own, I can really create the lifestyle that I want and the environment that I want, that it's inspiring to me, energizing, and nothing's perfect, believe me, but I can be home for my kids. I can drive them. In fact, my daughter the other day, she said, Mom, I need to go get this drive for my project. I said, let's just run and get it and then I'll make dinner. And, I want them to be responsible, but this is the time that I can help them. And if they fail and they are late for a deadline with a project, that okay, but just remember, be organized next time. Let's do it on the weekend or before it's due. So I want to be here as much as I can for them, but also letting them fail too. I think that's the best part of it. Yeah, I think that's the best part. Just really, my kids are my focus right now until they're in college and settled, and then I can ramp up my business. my goal was to start small and perfect the model that I have and get a good client base, and then just kind of slowly keep going and strategizing for myself and my family, and then just seeing where it goes and seeing, how I can help others in this market. Yeah.
That's great. That's great. So my finale question is always, what's the bravest thing that you've ever done, and how does it inspire you today?
Oh, I think besides becoming a parent, I would definitely say becoming an entrepreneur. It's not something that was ever on my to-do list. I mean, literally, I had a friend a couple of years ago just say, Jen, you're not getting any younger. You should just do it. You're really good at it. But I'm thinking, you're crazy, and I could never do it. But it just kind of presented itself, and it's definitely a roller coaster for sure. Any entrepreneur kind of gets that. I would say, I think I even may have said it at the beginning, the highs are euphoric and the lows can crush you, but it's that sweet spot in the middle that you have to remember every day. What was your original purpose for starting your own business, regardless of the type of field or work that you do, or if it's product or sales or something. I would definitely say right now is the hardest task I've ever tried to work on. And it's a marathon. It is definitely not a sprint.
Right. Well, I just wish you the best of luck. So if people want to find you online, what's the best way for them to find you, and where should they go?
Yes. My email is JLM Strategic Communications @gmail.com. I'm obsessed with LinkedIn. So I'm on LinkedIn, Jennifer McGinley. And you can find me there. And I'm also on Instagram at Jen L. McGinley 16. And it's JLM Strategic Communications.
Okay, well, we'll make sure we put all that in the show notes so people can connect right over and check you out at JLM Strategic Communications. And I just want to thank you for taking some time to be on the Brave Girl podcast and sharing your story and your wisdom. And I think there's probably things that you said that somebody's going to be listening and they're just going to say, oh my gosh, I totally need to hear that right now. So thank you so much.
I hope so. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I really appreciate it, Tracy.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of Brave Girls with Tracy M. as much as I did creating it. Each show is produced with you, the listener, in mind, as you look for inspiration and motivation from other brave souls as you pursue your desires. I'd love to hear your feedback, so please leave me a review on iTunes. I read every one. And check out my website, tracym.com, for more free resources. You can also join my list and sign up for my newsletter right from the homepage. Until next time, stay strong, believe in your dreams, and go do something brave.
We appreciate you joining us for this episode of Brave Girls with Tracy M. and hope that you enjoyed the show. For more information about today's episode, as well as additional free resources to help you achieve greatness in your life, visit tracym.com and sign up for our mailing list. Until next time, dream big, believe in yourself, and let your brilliance shine as only you can do.